Greetings. My name is John Gabriel, and this is the new Calculus channel. Welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking about numbers and how we got numbers from geometry. Remember, in the previous part 6, I discussed how we could do all the operations of arithmetic, multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, without using numbers at all. In other words, using the theorems of Euclid with the circle and similar triangles and all the other information that I gave you in the previous video, which I'm not going to go over again. You can watch part 6 and see what I was talking about then. But today I'm going to reveal a few new things, which I haven't actually shared with the public before, but it's going to be given to you in a much clearer way than was done in the past, even though I actually have many videos that describe how to derive number. So let's begin. Now, you'll remember that in the previous video, I showed you how you could use this black magnitude or line segment here as the unit, and that this light blue line, the product of the light blue line length and the dark blue line length would always give you the red line length, okay? So it doesn't matter how you move this along. Let's see if I can use my, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I think I can do this. Yeah, so no matter how far you move this along, that will give you the product, and also likewise, you can get the quotient by the same method. So for example, the red line divided by this light blue line will give you the dark blue line, okay? The dark blue line length. Very well. I want to move that out of the way there. Now, let's begin quickly with the derivation of numbers. So we saw that this ratio here, now remember this colon means this line length here, this dark blue line length compared with the light blue line length, that's what is a ratio, okay? Is the same as the light blue line length compared with the red line length. And remember here we're dealing strictly with sizes, which are not numbers, okay? And all magnitudes are positive. We haven't even begun to discuss negative numbers, but that's very easy once we establish what numbers are. And remember, I told you also that initially the idea of a ratio started like this with a colon in between. And then when we decided using an abstract unit what we're going to call these line lengths, then we started using this horizontal line length, which is the vinculum, okay? So this here becomes the name for a number. All right, so let's quickly see how to derive the rational numbers, okay? So now, a magnitude is just the same as size, really. A magnitude and a size are the concept of the same thing. In other words, how big, how far, how heavy, how light, etc. Magnitude or a size is not a number, okay? A ratio is a qualitative comparison of two sizes. What does qualitative mean? It means a comparison without numbers. Okay, so if P and Q are magnitudes, and now notice I wrote P and Q because I don't know what those sizes are in numbers. Then P colon Q is a ratio. It means the comparison of this magnitude, whether it's a distance or a mass or a volume, to Q. And because we're deriving numbers, we want these to be the same types of magnitudes. So we're not going to compare mass with distance, because in this case here it makes no sense, right? So that's all it means. If we can tell that these two line lengths, like for example the blue and the light blue and the dark blue and the light blue, then we know that we have a ratio, okay? So a ratio of two distances. In other words, this segment here is simply compared to this segment, and we can tell only one thing, that the blue segment is smaller than the light blue segment. It's not the same length. It's smaller, and the light blue segment is greater than the blue segment. This is what's called qualitative trichotomy, okay? If we can tell there is a difference, then we can tell which one is shorter or bigger, but we cannot tell how much longer or shorter is either line. Yet we cannot tell. And that's where the next step comes in. A unit is a ratio of the same size. So if U stands for the unit, then U compared with itself is the name we will give to our abstract unit, okay? In other words, that size that we will use to measure all other sizes. So for example, if we consider this black line here to be the unit, then we will use it to give names to all the other sizes, okay, to all these sizes here. That's why we need to have a unit. It's a reference point, isn't it? So instead of writing U colon U, we write U vinculum U as a name for the unit measure. Or we can just call it by whatever other symbol we like. For example, the symbol 1, vinculum 1, or just 1, when we know what is the abstract unit, or we have established the abstract unit. Okay? So now we're going on to the next step, where we'll be able to not only tell which is smaller or bigger, but we'll be able to tell by how much one is smaller or bigger, provided both are given in terms of the unit, okay? So any fraction is a ratio of units, such as this number here, which we call 3, over this number 1. And since all our measure is in terms of the abstract unit, we can just simply write 3 over 1 or just 3. But remember, when you see this 3, it means 3 over 1. And it originates from this measure. This is the measure, and this is the number, okay? So this here is the measure, and that's the number. Now we can provide names for any size in terms of the unit. And just as 3 over 1 is the name for 3, 1 over 3 is a name given to that size, which is 1/3 of the unit. And likewise, we can give names to any other magnitude, which is a multiple of the unit. Now remember that that's very important. It has to be a multiple of a unit or part of a unit, okay? Because 1/3 is part of a unit. So essentially right now, what I've done for you is I've derived all the rational numbers, okay? Right, so what this means is simply this, that if you want to compare differences, let's look at this now. Let's move this out of the way here. So let me draw on the screen, because that will probably be easier. Screen sketch, okay. So now, if we want to consider the operation of difference, well, if we have 2 line segments, let me just get a darker pen, like this, okay. If we have any 2 line segments, my word, okay, like this and like that, okay, and of course they're in terms of units, then we know that this part here after the colon is called the denominator or the consequent, okay, denominator or consequent. And this here is called the numerator. This part here is called the numerator or antecedent. And we usually measure the antecedent using the consequent or the denominator. All right. Now the difference is simply this. If you have, let's say, 2 sizes in terms of the unit like that, right? So you have that, and then you're going to take the difference of these 2 lengths. Then all you do is you measure each of these magnitudes using the chosen unit. So this here is the chosen unit, right? So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and this is what's left. This is the answer. This is the difference, okay? Which is just 1 unit, right? Similarly, all the measures, the arithmetic measures, are in terms of difference. So for example, addition is the measure of addition is no different to the measure of difference or subtraction, because the sum is that measure which will result when the given measures are considered as differences from the sum resulting in either of the given measures. So what does that mean? Okay, very simply this. Now, if you have 3 units added to 4 units, you'll get 7, which is the sum, right? Okay. Now, what this says is that 7 minus 3 will be 4, right? And 7 minus 4 will be 3. Okay, so in other words, the difference will always result in one of the two sizes originally used. That's all that is addition. And now, division is simply that measure of subtraction, except that the measure takes place using a magnitude that is composed of more than 1 unit, okay? Does that make sense? All right, well, let's see an example of that. So for example, if you have, let's say, I need to draw in here again. If you're going to measure a distance of, let's say, 8 with 4 or 2, then you're using these two here to mark off how many times it will occur in this distance here, right? So you're measuring this distance here using something else rather than a unit by itself. In other words, you're using a composition of units to measure this magnitude here. So the measure of division is no different to the measure of subtraction, except that the measure takes place using a magnitude that is composed of more than 1 unit, okay, or more than a unit. And that's all that is division. So if you had, for example, now just, let's say, these 3 units, and you were going to measure the small distance here in terms of this bigger distance, you have to divide them into equal parts, right? So the unit here is 4, 4. And to measure this magnitude, we have to use these parts, okay? So it's 1, 2, and 3, right? And that's how we get the fraction 3/4. So we can say division is that measure which uses either a unit or more than 1 unit, because as we've seen, the number 3, okay, or 3/1, is a measure derived at using division, and ultimately it uses difference, which is the most primitive measure. And now let's look at the last measure, which is multiplication. Now, the measure of multiplication is no different from division, with the exception that the measure takes place using equal parts of the divisor. In other words, a unit or a multiple of a unit rather than the whole unit. Let's see an example. Say, for example, we're going to be, I need to draw on the screen again. So let's just get the screen up again. So if we're going to multiply 2 by 3, let's say, okay. So let's say 2, which is like that, 2 units, okay, like that. And we're going to multiply that by 3, like that. Then what it means is we're going to be using parts of the divisors. So we take the unit and we divide it up into 3 parts, like that. 1, 2, 3, right? And we do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And now we simply count how many of these are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And as you can see now, we have multiplied 2 by 3 using parts of the divisor, okay, which is the unit, parts of the divisor, which is unit. And similarly, we could have done it the other way. We could have written 3 first, like that, okay, 3, and then 2, like that, 2 here, and then divided these parts up into 2. So it would be 1, 2, 1, 2, and now we'd count these up. Again, we'll get the same answer, which is 6. Okay, so ultimately, everything, all the operations of arithmetic are defined in terms of the difference. Okay, the difference is the most primitive. And I've shown you now in a very general way that you can use these facts to understand exactly what it means to work with arithmetic and with numbers and to understand exactly what is a number. Now, this information has never been revealed to anyone, not in publication or otherwise. This is probably the first time you have seen this, and I doubt it has ever been explained this way because nobody ever thought of it this way before, but this is how the ancient Greeks thought of it. Okay, the ancient Greeks were brilliant beyond belief. They were the ones who came up with all these concepts and ideas, and it all came from geometry. Algebra came from geometry, directly from geometry. And when we talk about the derivation of number, we're looking really to discuss these geometric concepts that you see here. Okay, these concepts here, these line distances, in terms of giving them names. So we try to name these so that we don't have to look at the diagram all the time, right? And we choose an abstract unit, and then we decide, we can work with these lengths now without having to look at the diagram. And we know exactly what we're talking about because we've now named everything. Now, there are certain magnitudes that cannot be measured. For example, those magnitudes known as pi or square root 2, etc., those don't have any numbers describing them. They can only be given approximate measures. And approximate measure is not a measure because measure by definition is a full measure. A number describes the measure of a magnitude. That is what is a number. Okay? Right, so now we've started from nothing. Remember, in part 1, we started with an empty universe, and we're now at the stage where we have derived numbers, and we've derived all the operations of arithmetic. And from henceforth, we will consider many new concepts in mathematics, how we got many other ideas, which are pretty interesting, and eventually, all this will lead up to the new mathematics, which I discovered, and of course, the first and only rigorous formulation of calculus in human history, the new calculus. I am the great John Gabriel, discoverer of the first and only rigorous formulation of calculus in human history. More advanced alien civilizations may already know of it. I trust you have enjoyed this presentation and hope that you will join me again in the future to learn much more than you have learned in all your school years. Till next time, goodbye.